for Hall, sign 3 players, and feel like you need fill the
Well,
hole.
I'd like to have signed a few more, but when we hired Darian and he lost his whole roster, money got a little tight because he had to put a team together, and I felt the pinch.
How's it having a community event like this to get away from Bloomington for a change, maybe?
This is a fun event. Great people. Had a lot of fun last year. It's sold out, 850 people. And it's a beautiful venue. Great part of the state, and really looking forward to it.
What have you learned or sensed from Darian since he's been around at IU?
Well, we don't spend a ton of time together, but we have been to 3 or 4 functions together, and he's a man of action. He doesn't say a lot, and he's got a plan. He'll get it done. He's going to do real well here, and I think just give him time. This stuff takes time sometimes, and you're going to see results.
Curt, you were in his position last year, but now you're coming back after an extremely successful season. What is it like coming into this season, coming off of the success you guys had last year?
To me, it's the same as any season. You got to start over every year. It doesn't matter, especially nowadays with the transfer portal, because you got so many new guys. You're rebuilding the house, so to speak, and starting with the foundation. The winter strength and conditioning program, setting standards, expectations, accountability, how you do things, developing a collective mindset, a culture, a team identity. So, it's all about controlling the controllables and maximizing your opportunities and improving as much daily as you can. During the week, getting ready for a game, it's stacking meetings, stacking practices, being totally prepared so you can play your best individually and collectively. And the most important game is the upcoming game. So my point is, you got to take it one day at a time, one play at a time. It's the only way to do it, and everybody starts the season 0-0. Now, if you want to get all into the noise and the clutter and the BS and social media stuff, you can, but it's not going to affect you positively, that's for sure. So, it's hard to turn it off completely. Sometimes you want a sense for what's going on out there. But I think the guys that are able to turn it off for a significant amount of time are putting their best foot forward and putting themselves in position to stay focused on what's important in their development. And when you get a bunch of guys thinking that way, then the team benefits as well.
There's a lot of discussion right now nationally about the structure of the playoff, the format of the playoff. A lot of noise, I think, coming particularly from down south. Do you have is there kind of any proposal out there that you look at and say, I think that might work better than anything else from a format?
I'm not paid to do that. I'm paid to win football games, graduate students, provide a good experience. And, we got to do our part to be a part of the college football playoff next year. And, we did it last year and didn't like the way we finished. I've been a part of all the different formats, being in D2 and FCS. And at the end of the day, there's one team standing. So whether you start with 64 or 8, there's going to be one team standing at the end, right? And no matter what the number is, somebody's going to feel bad that they got left out. That's just the way it works. You can't make everybody happy. So, we'll see what happens. We know what it is this year. That straight seating, I think, is a good thing. It'd been nice to have had that last year. Had a home game, 12.5-point favorite. But, we were still in control of our own destiny and didn't get the job done. If you pin me down, I probably have an opinion, but it's not worth stating.
Curt, one thing that you talk about controlling the controllables, one thing beyond your control has been the rev share part of this. The House settlement is not settled yet. What's your view on that, your level of frustration, and how much has it affected some off-season recruiting, not having the answer when you expected it to happen?
That part of it hasn't affected anything, and I'm confident it'll get passed. That there's a plan in place, and it'll be green-lighted. The NIL piece, will be interesting to see how that plays out, the clearinghouse, because obviously there was a lot of front loading of NIL deals, people trying to make big transactions before the rev share did pass, because the NIL go would have gone into effect immediately. That created a little bit of a different world, and some anxiety, a little more anxiety than normal. But I think we've got look, we need regulation. We need regulation. We need rules so that we all can plan and do what we're hired to do. Because right now, there's just a lot of uncertainty. How many portal windows are there going to be? When are they going to be? Go on and on and on. So we got to get the industry fixed. The game is great. We got to get the industry fixed.
Last year, you were in a situation where you had a backup quarterback lead you to a win. What's your level of comfort this year if that situation arises that you're where you need to be?
I'm more concerned about the starter being ready to win games right now, because he's going to play the most snaps, hopefully, right? So, and because, all these guys have a body of work, but they either get better or they get worse and never stay the same. And then when you bring new guys into your system, everybody's system is a little bit different, so they all got development, right? But I think, right now the second team quarterback today, would be the younger brother, Fernando Alberto, and he had a nice spring. He's got a good skill set. But every day you go out there, you compete for a job. Nobody owns a job. You got to earn that job every single day.
Curt starts. He's opened with number 10 or a top 10 Illinois team, followed by 2 road games at Iowa and Oregon. How much differently do you have to get your team prepared earlier in this season?
Well, when you looked at last year's schedule, we played the national champ and the runner-up, and I believe 9 teams that went to bowls. Okay. Now at the end of the season, when you look at that schedule, it looked not quite as challenging as it did in the offseason. Because you never know what these teams, right? Things change. But we'll have a very competitive Big Ten schedule. Looking forward to it. Some good road challenges for sure. And, it just puts a greater sense of urgency on getting as much out of every day in the summer, August camp, and, that week of preparation. But, you look at last year's schedule before the season started, it looked like a real tough schedule, right? So led the country in point differentials, second in the country in scoring, first in the country against the run, second in the country defense, least amount of yards given up. Didn't trail till 9th game of the year. Not bad.
You were outspoken last year about how I think you were picked 17th, maybe, right? Is there a part of you that kind of appreciates now the switch from hunter to hunted?
I wasn't upset about that. I just stated a fact. The last time I was in charge of a team rated next to last where we finished. Wasn't predicting the future, even though it happened. Look, you got to be ready to go every week. The first 3 weeks of the season, every team's ready to go. After that, it's who's ready to go. And we're not going to sneak up on anybody, but that's okay. We want every team's best shot. Great competitors do, right? So at the end of the day, you got to block, tackle, run, throw, catch, play smart, discipline, poise, good special teams, good in critical situations. We got our style of play, and control what we can control. There's certain things you can't control. And but I'm looking forward to it. I think we got a lot of nice pieces on this team. And now it's time to take these pieces and start to form a team.
Have you noticed a different reception as you go out and recruit guys as maybe you got a year ago?
Yeah.
And how so?
Last year's class was, because these high school classes are all put together before your season starts for the most part. So that class last year was put together on promises, hopes, vision. This class is being put together on something tangible, what we put out there on the field, the publicity and the exposure that we received. And we've got about 10 commitments right now. I really like them. Some of them haven't announced yet. And I just think it's a higher caliber guy. And so, and if I just knew, when the portal date would be and what that portal pool is going to look like, I could figure out whether we're taking 20 high school guys or 17 high school guys relative to what our team needs look like next year. But right now it's hard to plan because you can't get any answers.
Coach, we know you're a process-oriented guy. What does the summer portion of that process look like for your players?
Well, I've always given the coaches off Friday through Tuesday after Memorial Day, so they get a 5-day break. They've been on the road recruiting, so they're back in today. And so I was really looking forward to that 8 a.m. staff meeting to talk about opponent prep, starting some meetings, with our players who are working out with their goings. Staying on top of recruiting, obviously. There's some travel camps and some on-campus camps as well. So we'll juggle a lot of balls. We have official visit weekends, the first 3 weekends in June. And then, around the 24th, we go on vacation, come back, I think the 16th, and get ready for a July camp. End of July, we start.
Good time for 2 more.
And I know you've talked about recruiting a second ago, but what about in-state recruiting? There seems to be obviously a change. Indiana is not the leader in in-state recruiting, but now you're getting pretty much most of the best talent in the state.
I think we're doing well. I really want to do well in our state and do a great job of evaluating every guy that's got a chance. And I like who we have. And, the more good players that come out of the high school ranks of Indiana, we should benefit as long as we continue to be successful. It's kind of the old chicken and the egg, but I really like who we have right now, even though I'm not allowed to talk about those names. Is that it?
Thank you.